Hello, my name is Brendan Kwok. Everyone knows that cigarettes are bad for you. Even the tobacco companies agree with it. It causes cancer, diseases like asthma, and it can also pass on to your babies. But did you know that cigarettes are actually bad for the environment? It causes harm to much more than our own body, but to the environment. Tobacco smoke contains at least 172 toxic substances, including 3 regulated outdoor air pollutants, 33 hazardous air pollutants, 47 chemicals restricted as hazardous waste, and 67 known human or animal carcinogens. Which brings me to my main claim: cigarette smoking has a significant impact on pollution. Cigarette smoking harms the environment by causing harmful chemicals to be emitted to the environment. Which brings me to my supporting claims of how cigarettes are bad to the air pollution, the ground pollution, water pollution, and how the production of cigarettes causes pain to the environment. My first claim, cigarettes cause air pollution, is that there are 4,000 chemicals in cigarettes, and every time a smoker exhales that smoke, it is released into the air. Out of the total North American population, 30% of them are smokers, and the percentage of the smoking population in developing countries is much higher. In a study by the Tobacco Control, it is said that cigarette smoke causes 10 times more pollution than diesel fuel. Tobacco smoke produces a fine particulate matter that is emitted into the air that is harmful to health. They did an experiment where a turbo diesel 2-liter engine was left idling for 30 minutes in a garage. Then they did the same thing with 3 filtered cigarettes lit secretly and left smoldering for more than 30 minutes. Combined particulate matters for the first hour after the engine has been started measured 88 micrograms per cubic meter. Those recorded in the first hour after the cigarette had been lit measured 830 micrograms per cubic meter, which is 10 times greater. On outdoor level, cigarette smoke has 15 times more greater emission of particulate matter. My third claim is that cigarette smoke causes ground pollution and water pollution. Every day, millions of cigarette butts are left on the ground. The butts left on the ground take around 25 years to decompose. These cigarette butts soon end up in lakes and rivers, and animals eat these butts that result in death. The chemicals absorb into the ground, polluting the soil. A study has been shown that in California, statewide cleanup in which cigarette butts are almost half of the waste collected. This shows how much are thrown on the ground, which affect the soil. During summer or dry season, these butts could cause wildfire, which further influence air pollution. The soil, which brings me to my third claim of the production of cigarettes harms the environment. The soil being used to produce cigarettes could be used to produce food for third world countries. Just the production of cigarettes and packaging wastes a lot of resources. In an hour, a cigarette manufacturing unit requires almost 4 miles of paper for rolling and packaging of the cigarettes. Just to produce 300 cigarettes, 1 tree is being wasted. Both energy and water is being used to produce cigarettes, and on top of that, chemical waste from the manufacturing units are dumped onto the soil, harming the environment. To bring me to my conclusion, as I have previously said, cigarettes are harmful to the entire environment. It affects the air, the soil, and the people. It has a significant impact on pollution because of the chemicals it has in it.
All right, the propositions clearly identified. I think you managed to find something on which there might be some controversy. There's no attempt to quantify the total impact of any of this on the environment. There are only two things that give us some comparative data. One is the amount of cigarette butts that constitute the litter that's found in that one study where they were collecting it. That might be somewhat important, although it doesn't really go much beyond that. And then there's a whole inference there that in some way harms the soil, which I didn't think was as substantially supported. And the other was the comparison to the amount of pollutants that are put out by cigarettes in comparison to a diesel vehicle. And I think you're focusing primarily on particulate matters there. One of the things that you want to focus on is the impact of those kinds of particulate matters. Are they carcinogens that are going to be the problem, or is it the level of particulate in the atmosphere that's going to affect, general breathing? It was a little vague on that. The contrast, for the one vehicle would also seem to require that you would do a comparison. So, for instance, what would the total amount of particulates being put into the atmosphere be as a consequence of all of the consumers of cigarettes? I don't know, you divide the number of cigarette smokers by 3 so that we can figure it out based on that factor that you have. There's got to be some way of making that comparison a little more useful. Your signposting at the beginning was problematic because when you listed the secondary claims, they weren't really listed as claims. When you got to them in the body of the speech, you did present them as claims, although the second and the third ones, you basically presented them together. The main issue that I had was I thought that you had some pretty good information on the polluting nature of the cigarettes, but it didn't seem like it was substantial or sufficient to be particularly convincing. I think you've got the start of an argument there, but it needs a little bit more follow through. You're also doing an awful lot of reading here. All right, thank you.